Welcome back. At this moment, we're following some breaking news. Former Supreme Court Justice David Souter has died at the age of 85. He served on the Supreme Court from 1990 until he retired in 2009. Let's bring in CBS News Chief Legal Correspondent Jan Crawford at our D.C. Bureau with more on this. Jan, good morning to you. What do we know about the circumstances of his death and the legacy he leaves behind?
Well, he died peacefully yesterday at his home in New Hampshire. He served on the court 19 years, retiring at the relatively young age these days of 69. He was a shy, kind of introverted guy who just wanted to be back at his home state of New Hampshire. His legacy, though, I think, is kind of a complicated one, not so much for the decisions he wrote, but the fact that he joined as a conservative, believed to be a conservative nominee. He joined with the court's liberals. He was a reliable liberal vote. And as a result, he was perhaps the greatest disappointment to conservatives of any Republican nominee. He was nominated by President George H.W. Bush. And I believe that it was his nomination and his tenure on the court that really forever changed how Republican presidents and their administrations approach Supreme Court nominations. No longer, after David Souter, will they take people at their word that they're conservative. Because Justice Souter, he was this New Hampshire guy. He was in a state district attorney. He was on the state Supreme Court. He looked conservative. He wore three-piece suits. He was polite. He lived with his mom. And people in that George H.W. Bush administration were led to believe that he would be a conservative vote. And they liked the idea that no one really knew much about him because we're entering a time in Supreme Court confirmation politics where people's records could be really used against them, like with Judge Robert Bork, for example, to defeat their nomination. So he was this stealth candidate who they were going to get on the court and fool Democrats and have this solid, reliable vote for the right. In fact, the exact opposite happened. He became, like I said, one of the most liberal justices, a predictable vote with the left on issues like abortion, religion, affirmative action, gay rights, on and on and on. Every issue that was important to conservatives, he sided with the liberals.
And Jan, Justice Souter decided to retire, which opened the door for then-President Obama to nominate now Justice Sotomayor. Why do you think he did not uphold conservative values, so to speak, as a jurist?
He was never that conservative. I don't think there was ever any effort, and I wrote about this extensively in my book. He never was conservative to begin with. He looked conservative, like I said, and people in the Bush White House. In fact, some Democrats did, suggesting that they believed that, he would be a moderate conservative. But, his record was not there. He only served on state courts until he was nominated less than a year before he was nominated to the Supreme Court. He served on a federal court. So he never really had any analysis of constitutional issues. People didn't really ever get a sense of that he had a strong record. They just assumed he was. And right away, Errol, at his confirmation hearings, during his hearings, Republicans knew what a disaster they had on their hands. In the Bush White House, people were watching them on television, and as he would answer about how the role of the courts is sometimes to step in when Congress won't act, that's a big no-no for Republicans because they think courts should always kind of stay on the sidelines. The White House counsel at the time said, "My God, what have we done?" And it would become very clear, as he then said his favorite justice was William Brennan, one of the most leading liberals on the court ever, that they had made this tremendous blunder. And I believe, as you saw now going forward, we have very solid, reliable, conservative justices who don't seem like they're going to be a surprise or they're going to shift to the left. That's all because Republicans so egregiously blundered, from their view, the nomination of David Souter. They pore over records meticulously. They analyze every word of opinions. They want justices with track records. I will say this, too, Errol. It also shows, even during his nomination, how divisive the confirmation process had begun. Democrats actually voted against him for the Supreme Court.
It's incredible. Great to have you on this breaking news that he's now passed away at the age of 85. And we are out of time, Jan, but didn't during his second year they coin a phrase like never Souter? Or
yes,
what was it?
So no more suitors. And that phrase, you still hear it today, even though it was
fascinating. Yeah. Well, great to have you and all of your insight on this, Jan, who's literally written the book about the topic. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Errol.